Carlos, in your book, you mentioned the elephant in the room, how to identify it, how to deflate the elephant in the room, the thing that all investors are thinking about when they hear you speak about your company. How do you do that? How do you identify and deflate the elephant in the room? And maybe describe to us what the elephant in the room even means.
Well, this is part of where I feel like go read the book, right? So I'll define it because I think that's important, especially for non sort of US, UK English speaking people. It might not make sense. Um, the idea of an elephant in the room is that there's something so obvious that if you don't address it, people are distracted, right? So that is the general definition of it. So it would be like, if you and I were speaking and I had a piece of food right here and you were just distracted, how does Carlos not notice he's got a piece of food on his cheek, right? And so everything I would say would be sort of forgotten because you're so distracted. And that happens a lot. Like imagine you're building a social network, and I'm just going to pick on something really easy here. And it just happens to have like I was pitching you, Kate, as a VC, and I said, "Oh, I'm building a social network. It's limited to 160 characters, and you can like it, and you can reshare it with the people who follow you, and it's great." And you in your head, you're thinking, "Wait, isn't that Twitter X or whatever it's called today?" It's like, isn't that just X? And you're going to keep on thinking that as I continue to tell you about it. And I could have easily dealt with that much more succinctly by just saying it will resemble some of the elements of X, but this is where it differs. And so that's just dealing with it. It's a simple, and of course, it's more complicated for different things, but I think it's just an awareness that the listener, and this is part of storytelling, it's like part of storytelling is understanding where the listener is at the moment they're listening to what you're saying. So what Disney does well with storytelling is it understands the customer, which is usually a certain age group, and then understands where they're coming from, their vocabulary, their emotional state, and then can tell a story that connects with that, right? And the same thing, an elephant in the room is effectively understanding that if you're talking to a VC who's seen every startup in that space, it's very different than one who hasn't. And so if you don't address the elephant in the room, you run the risk of having it completely go the wrong way.
Mhm. And it's an ability to build trust with the investor, right? As soon as you kind of say what's on their mind and just speak openly about it, they have trust in you that you've really got the macro in mind for whatever you're building.